and welcome to another NoCode.Tech video. Now in this video we're going to have a little bit of a series where we're discussing Glide, which is a mobile app builder, and we'll be talking about what you can do with it and how you can apply the 4 no-code fundamental pillars of UI and UX, workflows, APIs and integrations and data. We'll be talking about how you can apply them in Glide so that you can start building your own app and dive into what Glide can do. Now Glide has a bunch of templates. I'm going to jump into this one that I saved earlier, which is a kind of employees directory, and immediately we can see a few things. Number one, it's a fairly overwhelming interface, but actually you'll learn in a second it's pretty simple once I show you a few key parts. And then number two, clearly Glide is made for building mobile apps. So where other tools might focus on web apps and mobile apps or things like that, Glide is exclusively focused on building the best mobile apps that you can. And so as I jump in here, clearly the main thing that you see right in front of you is this app. As I said, Glide has a ton of different templates, so this is just an employee directory one that I've picked off and started playing with. But to give you a quick idea of the interface, so we've got the app in the middle, and this is always going to be the bit that you're building. Over the left, we've got a sort of navigation that, if you have a look at what it's got here, it kind of lets you look at either the different tabs at the bottom of the screen, so how you navigate around your app. So, you know, where it says staff, we can see there's a corresponding tab, locations, we can see a tab, so on and so forth. And then we've also got this little bit down here, which is, it refers to essentially what screen are we on at the minute and what elements are on that. So we've got a little bit of a list here, and as a result we can see we've got an inline list. We'll dive into that in a minute. But over on the right hand side, we then have our configuration bar. So whatever element I select on here, you know, where it's, for example, let me jump in here. You know, every element that I select on here, I'm going to be able to pop up the different options related to that on the side. I'm going to be able to see, you know, what data is in there, what actions are going to perform, etc. Now, obviously, this looks like an iPhone app. Glide does support more or less any phone out there or tablet device, so I can immediately switch that to see what my app is going to look like on a tablet. I can check how that's going to look on an Android tablet, an Android phone, check that on an Apple phone, so on and so forth. So you can quickly get a feel of how your app is going to look across the various different platforms. Now on that, a quick note, so Glide does not create a native, as we would call it, mobile app that appears on the App Store. Instead it creates what we call a progressive web application. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I hit this share button, I'm going to get a bunch of options, and it's going to let me either send my app to my phone, scan a QR code, or it's going to give me this link that I can just take and paste straight into my address bar here at the top. So if I go and have a little bit of a look at what we've got here. So if you were to send this link to somebody, this is what they would see. So it lets them put it on their phone, etc. But actually, because Glide creates progressive web apps, I can use the entire app here live right now. So I can start clicking around in here. I can go to my favourites. If I had any, you know, I can say, okay, Maria Rao, I'm going to make her my favourite. So I go back, click that. So, you know, as you can see, I can actually physically use this app live. And essentially what a progressive web app is it's essentially like a mobile app that works on the web but also works on your phone, not by downloading it from the App Store, but instead by going to a little option that says add this to home screen. So you might not have seen this before, but if you go to more or less any website on your phone, and you hit the share button, there's usually a link that says add to home screen, or whatever the equivalent might be on Android. I apologise, I'm not familiar. And then once that's downloaded onto your home screen, you can essentially just click it and start playing around with it exactly the way you would a normal app. So if you were to go and use this on your phone, then when you go and kind of log into this and try it, it's going to show up exactly like this, except on your phone. So you won't have all this screen around it that says employees by Niall Freighter and the QR code, but you will have this here and it'll work. So that's just one thing to note. You know, users will not be able to find you in the App Store. They'll have to come to your website and get a link, or you'll have to send it to them. It is a little bit strange when you first hear it, but actually it's a pretty good way of doing things, because it means you don't have to mess around with the App Store. You don't have to mess around with like Apple's approval process or the Google Play process. You just give people a link, you update that as much as you like, and it all just works flawlessly. It's really nice and easy. So that is how Glide works as a bit of an overview. There are a couple other components here that are worth quickly checking out. So we have our database here. Now this one's been pre-filled because this is a template, but on the left hand side here we can see that we've got 3 different tables in our database. So we've got locations, user profiles, etc. And then looking across here, we've got a bunch of different fields, so you can specify text fields, numbers, emails, photos, location, and when it says manager ref and manages ref, this is also just a set of relationships that let us link to different people within the database and just sort of say, okay, who manages who, what's the relationship? So you can do all that there. If I pop back there, one thing to point out, so when you start a new Glide app, and I'll show you this in a second, but when you start a new Glide app, you have the option to pick between using a Google Sheet, so i.e. an actual spreadsheet as your database, or you can use Glide's brand new kind of built-in database that they've already got. So I'll show you that in a second, but it's just worth noting here. And then the other thing worth having a look at is just this settings panel. So there's a ton of different stuff you can do here that you wouldn't maybe think of as settings, but I mean, first of all, you know, there's loads of stuff you can do around about the theme. So if I click through some of these, it's going to change the way the the web app, mobile app works. I can also change to a different kind of color hex. You know, I can make it be an orange app. One of the neat things that Glide does, by the way, is it changes the border around the phone to match it. And then one of the cool things you can do is you can hit match devices theme. Now it's not going to show up here, but actually when you hit match devices theme, it's just going to automatically change based on whatever that device is set to. So obviously that's going to look different on different devices, but it's going to make a user feel pretty at home in your app. So you can change appearance, all that kind of thing. You can obviously change basic app info here. You can change some different things here. For example, if you wanted to make it like an internal app for like your employees that only certain people could use, you can set all that up. So there's just a bunch of different things here. You've got a welcome screen you can mess around with, so you can change that to say welcome to my app, for example, and that'll just change what shows up. So you can totally customize it. You know, this could be Acme Inc. Employee directory. So there's a ton of different stuff we can do just like that. Lots of little bits and pieces. So we'll stop there. What we're going to do in the next video is I'll show you how the data works, how the interface works, and we'll start putting together our own app on Glide.